So in Hawaii, food is a pretty big deal. Hawaii people, they like to eat out a lot, like a lot. Part of it is the food is so good in Hawaii, but part of it is just the social clout of eating out. And this is evidenced by the social media accounts of many local people. If you look at what they typically post, it's gonna be drinks, desserts, plate lunches, and all kinds of fancy foods. But what would it be like to not eat out in Hawaii for 1 month? And how much money would you actually save? That's what this video is about. We're gonna take a look back at our past month of not eating out in Hawaii. And for me, it was actually quite easy, but I know it was very challenging for my wife. Yeah, very, very hard.
Hello from Hawaii.
So I'm gonna ask my wife how it was for the past 30 days. And at the end, I'll share approximately how much we would have saved or we did save by not eating out in the past month. So first of all, why did you agree to do this not eating out thing for 30 days?
For the sake of your YouTube.
Oh,
just
thanks.
kidding. I mean, mainly that too, but I guess I just wanted to try and see how it turns out. Samui? Are you kidding?
So going into this like challenge, what did you think was gonna be the most, like the hardest thing about it for you?
Hard, the resisting of temptation.
Oh, why is that?
Restaurants and cafes are all over the place that we live by. And
Yeah.
I'm like, am I able to stand strong and fight and accomplish this mission, you know? It's
Yeah.
like, so it was a challenge for me. Or I could be like, oh yeah, I could just go eat out and don't have to tell my husband about it, you know?
Yeah, she could have done that.
I know, I could have done it, but of course I didn't.
So how did it feel not eating out for a month?
It's very hard. It was very hard. Like a lot of emotions came out.
Like what kind of emotions did you have?
I felt very frustrated. I felt really stressed.
Because eating out was a way for me to relieve my stress. When I couldn't do that, I had to find an alternative way to do it. And that was hard too, to find, to substitute what I had to relieve my stress.
Maybe I should explain why it wasn't really as hard for me to not eat out. So I'm not really on social media a lot, despite making YouTube videos. So I'm not bombarded by pictures or ads for foods or anything. And it's just not really something that I grew up doing. Like we took out food a lot. Like we ate, like bring home food, but we didn't really go out to eat all that much. For me, it's not really that challenging, I guess, to not do it, but that's just me. So I know you talked about your mood, but how do you think your mood changed over the past month?
I think the first 2 weeks wasn't too bad.
Yeah,
I think
I
I was
agree.
just I mean, you've witnessed it all. So I had to find like the alternative way. Like for example, I remember there's one day I wanted to eat hamburger so much. And I was like, well, I can't go eat out and eat hamburgers. So I mean, it's not that hard to make. So I just bought ingredients, you know.
Yeah.
He made a home style hamburger, which turned out to be okay. It was decent.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things I noticed, because we weren't eating out a lot, you cooked a lot more of the foods that you wanted to eat. So not just like hamburger, but also like acai bowl and smoothies and things that you normally would just go out and buy. You actually took the time to buy the ingredients and to go and make it at home, which is kind of nice. Oh, okay, let's go.
Okay, 行くよ、こっちだよ.
Come on, bud. Is there anything else that you noticed that changed over the past month?
Yes, I just started to get very stressed. First 2 weeks it was like, okay, I can do this, but then it's like, I guess the second 2 weeks is when you're like getting kind of starting to get tired.
Yeah.
And then like, we couldn't eat out. Like even if I wanted to, like if I'm just too tired from like just taking care of kids or, you know, just having an exhausting day, like I just couldn't like kind of slack off in a way, right?
Yeah.
So I think that was starting to kind of kick in. I was just feeling very frustrated and stressed even more. And then I was just kind of like bursting out in anger because I was like, I'm tired. I don't want to cook, but we can't eat out.
Yeah.
So I have to cook.
So it was more about just not having to cook then.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. It's just like, no, wait, だから so I was like, I'm tired. I can't cook.
Yeah.
No, I'm tired. I want to eat out and then like, and just rest.
Yeah.
But I can't do that. And I'm like, dang it.
Yeah.
And then, but then it's like, it's something that I committed myself to do until the end. So it's not gonna be like I didn't want to like quit in the middle and be like, okay, I'm over. Like,
Yeah,
no. So I'm kind of person, if I start something, then I'm going to be responsible until the end.
Mm.
So I was like, I'm not going to just give up. And so I was just kind of in that loop of like, you know, and I
Yeah.
just have to do it. But I didn't know where to release that anger because eating out was the way for me to, I guess, compromise that anger in a way, you know?
Yeah.
And I was hoping I could find some other way to do that, some other way to do that other than eating out. But I don't think I was able to find it after all. So I'm like, I was even more stressed and I'm like, this is getting depressing. And
It's getting depressing.
oh, do you want mochi?
Yeah, sure. Why don't we walk around first and come back?
Okay, sure.
Yeah. So I think the big question is, do you think you could go longer than...
Huh?
Wait.
Ah.
Okay, so as our son screams, the big question is, do you think you could go longer than 1 month without eating out? Because one of the things I noticed was when the month was done, it wasn't like you just jumped and you went out and celebrated that following day. It actually took some time for you to go and eat out again, right? To go and drink and stuff.
Yes.
So do you think that you could go longer than 1 month without eating out?
No.
No?
No. I prefer not to.
Oh, okay.
I prefer not to.
The last question is, what did you learn from not eating out for a month in Hawaii? Like, what did you actually
Although it
learn?
was hard, I mean, I think a lot of the things that I wanted to eat
Yeah.
was something that I could even make and I guess in a way replace.
Yeah.
And as much as I got frustrated, angry, and all of the emotions that you had to deal with too, I learned that I can live without eating out. And I think that's because it got to the point where like, okay, you know, I just have to do it. So I did, and then I guess my mind got so used to doing that that even the first day of February, I didn't feel like I had to go eat out. It's like, because, you know, like, oh, done? Okay. Because even you want cereal? Because, you know, I was able to make a replica of what I wanted to eat, basically, like smoothies, for example.
Yeah.
I was able to like drink the smoothie that I usually buy at a different cafe, and I was satisfied. So like I learned how to satisfy myself without eating out, and I guess at that point I was just like, okay, I guess I can live without it.
Yeah.
And I survived.
And you survived.
I know I survived.
I barely survived. But you
I know, me
survived.
too.
But
I
you
barely survived too, but
Yeah, I can say for the past month, I did not feel any temptation at all
of course.
to eat out. But I should mention there are some caveats to what we experienced in the past month. So we had some birthdays and some holidays. So
Oh, and zippies.
yeah, and
Thanks.
zippies to shoot a
Thanks to them.
video. So we did eat out a little bit, but in terms of like buying drinks and going out to eat plate lunch and any kind of
Oh,
snacks,
yeah.
we didn't do any of that for the past month.
Oh yeah, I just remember. But yeah, because just how things are so expensive. And I think that's why I was like, I agreed with you to do this whole thing too, because you know, one day, I think at the end of December, we went to a certain restaurant to pick up a lunch
Oh,
plate.
yeah.
And it was like $44 something just for 2 lunch plates. It was ridiculous. I was like, oh my goodness, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know, it's just living in Hawaii is just like getting harder with like how things are getting more expensive,
Yeah.
and I was like, I wanted to challenge myself. I just remember
Yeah.
that.
Well, that's one of the ironies, I think, in living here. People love to eat out so much, and yet the cost of living is so high that it would seem like people wouldn't want to eat out so much because it costs so much to live here in Hawaii. Yet because food's such a big part of the culture,
Yeah, I
we
agree.
just eat out anyway and pay the price and murmur to ourselves as things get a little bit more expensive, yet we still continue to go and eat out. And that's okay to be able to go out and do that. It's not a bad thing. It's just something that I know I've observed, and we'll see as prices continue to get higher with inflation if locals actually finally decide like, okay, that $17 plate lunch, I just can't afford it anymore. So are you ready for the big reveal? How much we would have saved, or how much we did save? The amount that we actually saved, or would have saved, or did save this month was $475.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. Now that's an estimate of coffees and acai bowls, and especially eating out now for a family of 3.
Yeah.
We would typically eat out maybe at least once a week, if not twice a week. And so if you add that, the annual amount of savings is $5,700. When you think about the amount of money that you save like that, that's a lot of money, right? When you look at the huge number. But in actuality, you never really notice it, because if you're only spending $7, $12, $18 here and there, but it does add up. That's how much I estimated that we did save this past month.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Now it's like, yeah, maybe if it was about, well, I'm just gonna say $500, and
Yeah.
maybe it was worth to try. But,
Yeah.
but if you were to ask, oh, am I gonna do it again? Hell no. But you know, it's like,
I also want to mention too that we do budget for
yeah.
eating out. Like we
Yeah.
do have a budget to eat out, for you to go and eat out. I don't really eat out, so I don't need a budget for that. But we do have a budget for this. But I think it's important to like look at this, because some people, when they eat out, they don't actually like calculate how much they do it, and I think that's kind of scary. I'm glad that we did this. And I'm not suggesting that people shouldn't go and support local, or they shouldn't go out to eat if that's what they like to do. But I do think it's important to be mindful of how much you spend on certain categories of spending. Things like housing, that's pretty much fixed. And maybe some other
Mortgage.
some just monthly expenses, they're pretty much fixed. But eating out is this fluctuating amount that I think people aren't necessarily aware of. And so I think it was really good for us to try it and just try and see how much we actually spend each month. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and